Welcome to the Resiliency of the Human Spirit podcast, where we share all about human triumphs for the collective's healing and empowerment. I am your host, Priscilla Hanley. My guest today is Sonia Kurmey. Sonia is a wife and mother of a blended family of 8 wonderful children. At the age of 28 and with a 6-month-old son, Sonia embarked on a journey of starting her own travel business. She spent 25 years running her company, having 2 more sons, and becoming a single parent. It was at this time that she began her health and wellness journey. Today, Sonia has her own e-commerce health and wellness business that allows her the freedom to travel, give back to her community, and support causes that are important to her. She is a patron of a school in Nairobi and is very passionate about the environment. Without further ado, I'm going to bring Sonia on right now. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to join us here today. You shared your personal journey with me, where you talked about your narcissistic, abusive marriage that you went through, and then you leaving that marriage and then becoming a single parent. I am glad that we're having this conversation because I think a lot of people can relate to your experience and the lessons that you learned through your journey. And so I'll ask you to start by sharing your personal story with us and your journey through your narcissistic abusive marriage and then into single parenthood and then the empowering journey of starting your own business and healing. So I'll leave it to you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, I think that there are probably many relationships that can be with a narcissistic person, maybe not realizing it in the beginning, because when you're going through that phase where you're dating and you're getting to know somebody, they're always on their best behavior. That's one thing about a narcissist. They're like chameleons. They can turn it on, they can turn it off. And I think what happens is as you become more attached, and especially when you're married, and all of a sudden you're now I won't say they own you, but they're now in control, then the real personality comes out. So in my case, I met my husband. He was very, very successful in business. I was just starting off my business, and he was so helpful and he was encouraging and supportive. But I should have seen the bells go off when I would see him, how he would treat other people. And I would see certain characteristics where, it's like, oh, that was kind of mean, or that was not a nice thing to say, or not a nice thing to do to somebody, never thinking that that would happen to me. I mean, he loves me. He's never going to treat me like that. And then once we got married, and especially when we had children, because, narcissists are also very selfish, and when they can't share with other people, and all of a sudden this new human being comes along who is more important to you than you, and they can't handle that because all of a sudden they take second seat. So that's how it started. We were married for 8 years. We had 3 children. And I think right off the bat, I kind of saw certain, things that I wasn't happy with. But, you're married, you've got children, you've got a life together. And in my case, I grew up in a very ethnic background. I'm Ukrainian. And my mother stayed with my father for 50 years in a very unhappy, loveless marriage. And that to me was normal. And that's another thing, too. So it was difficult. But at some point, I realized that I had to change what I was doing. I wasn't happy. I mean, you go through your normal day. I mean, my children made me happy. My friends made me happy. Not having him around sometimes and working a lot was more peaceful in my life than it was. So he how can I say this? He had an affair when I was pregnant with my youngest son. And when I found out, I asked him to leave. And I don't know where I got the courage to say that, to do that, because at the time, I certainly couldn't support myself. But I just knew that I couldn't live in that kind of relationship anymore. So I asked him to leave. It was really tough. And I was a very independent, strong person, and I had never asked for help. And that's one of the key things when you're in a situation like that. Please ask for help, because your family, your friends are probably there waiting to help you. And they were. And that's what really got me through it. So I raised the three children on my own. I applied myself to my business because I had just started a business and it was still fledgling. And I worked very hard at it and was determined to make it success. And within about 2 years, I was then financially successful. I was able to continue my lifestyle. I stayed in the home that my first husband and I bought together, and I still live in my home. And from that point on, realizing that I was one of the key things I think we have to think about is you have to be happy. If you're not happy, you can't make anybody else happy. You have to do things and sometimes it means saying no to people, saying no to your children, saying no to people when they ask you for something, because your well-being is so, so crucially important.
Right. So when you asked him to leave, did he leave immediately, or was it a struggle to get him to leave?
No, he didn't. He didn't want to leave. I think he thought this was all going to blow over and things were going to get back to normal, because he knew he had that financial, rope on me. I mean, he's the one that made most of the money. And so he decided to stick around, and I think he ended up sleeping down the basement for a few weeks. And probably in that time, he realized that nothing was going to change. I was still adamant he had to go, and he did. But over the course of probably the next year, year and a half, he would every so often come back on bended knee and say, please take me back. I've changed. I'll never treat you like that again. And although it seemed it would have solved a lot of my financial problems in the beginning, I realized that he wasn't going to change. I don't think a narcissist, unless they go through a lot of psychotherapy and help, I don't know that they ever will. So I chose not to take him back, and then I just continued to live my life.
I see. And then at which point did it dawn on you that he's a narcissist? Do you know what I mean? Like,
You know what? Way
was it
back then,
after?
yeah,
After
it was well after that. It was well after that. I remember a couple of years later, maybe not quite in a couple of years, but I remember reading an article in a magazine about a woman being abused and being psychologically and emotionally abused. And I'm reading this story and thinking like, holy crap, that's me. That was me. And not realizing at that point that I was abused, and never wanting to admit it, but I had been abused.
Right. And so what did you learn from being in a narcissistic marriage and then leaving that marriage and then being a single mom? I bet there's a lot of lessons that you
A lot
learned
of
from that
lessons. Yeah.
experience.
A lot. Well, first, look for signs. Take time to get to know somebody. I remember I used to always say that if you decide to become emotionally involved and move on to the next level and get married or have a long-term relationship, date the person for 3 years. I think you'll probably see most of their personality traits come out in those 3 years. I learned that I'm very strong. I used to always say that which does not kill you makes you stronger. That's one of my mottos now. And also, I remember I used to say, I'm so strong I could eat nails and spit them out, because I had to be. I had to be. But it certainly showed me who I really was, and that I could survive on my own, that I could take care of myself.
Right. And so if somebody was in a narcissistic abusive relationship or marriage right now and they want to leave, but they have young children, they're not financially secure, probably the options for them to leave is like maybe close to none. What would you tell somebody in this
That's a
situation?
tough one. I would say please lean on family and friends. I think oftentimes family and friends realize what you're going through long before you do, and they're waiting for you. And in your community, if there are any kind of outreach programs, if there's any community, like women's groups, and if you need to, I mean, there are women shelters as well.
Oh, do they accept women with young kids? They do,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. Okay. So let me ask you this. When your dark days present themselves in your life, what resources do you turn to help in you coping with the dark days or maybe healing yourself?
Um, I find just working on yourself, meditation, breath work, reading self-help personal growth books are fundamental. Mindset is everything. And when you're going through the darkest times in your life, the only thing, one thing that helped me was getting through one day. This is one day. Tomorrow is another day. I try not to dwell on what's going to happen tomorrow. I try not to think about all the situations that I could go through tomorrow. Just deal with today. And that's what I did day after day. I would deal with the day. I'd get through my day. Wine helped too sometimes, but just getting through one day at a time. And then tomorrow's another day, and then just dealing with that. And it can take months, it can take years, but just dwell on today. There's a really good book that I actually read, and I do highly recommend it. It's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And that book really helped set it up because, again, he said the only thing you should worry about is today. Tomorrow it's not here. You can't worry about something that's going to happen tomorrow. Just concentrate on getting through your day.
Right. When your former husband left, and then you say you had 3 children, right?
Yes.
And you were also running a business. So tell us more. How did you cope with all of this, with being a single mom and then running a business? How did you do that?
Again, it's mindset. It's I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I look back on, having to, because I ended up being a single mom for 16 years. So there was a lot of time, probably some of the best years of my life, because I was free. I was free to be me. I was free to do what I wanted to do. I was free to raise my children in a non-abusive environment, which I am so grateful for. And I can't really, I'm not sure if I can if I can describe it anymore, in that just like taking it one day at a time, getting out and again, getting out, enjoying yourself, spending time with friends and family, and sharing your story. It's so unhealthy to keep it bottled up inside you and not to say anything. And people will say, "How you doing?" You say, "I'm fine, I'm fine." And meanwhile, inside you're not, you're crumbling. Tell people that you're struggling. Tell people that you could use help. Tell people, that you're going through a tough time, because, I mean, sometimes that's the best advice. That's the best support you're going to get is the people around you.
Right. So talking about the people around you, who was the most influential person or people that helped you out during that tough time?
My mom, my sister, I have a couple of very dear friends. I spent many a night sitting on somebody's sofa, chatting and crying and getting their perspective and just having their support, and just having somebody be there to say, "I care and I'm here for you," is very
Right.
powerful. Very, very powerful.
Yeah, I agree. So let me shift a little bit. I didn't know that you were very passionate about the environment, and I also didn't know that you were a patron of a school in Nairobi. So tell us more about that.
Yes, I've always had a concern about the environment. I've done a lot of research. I've read a lot. I'm a member of an organization called Climate Reality Project, which is it's the organization run by Al Gore. I've learned firsthand the detriment that we're doing to our planet and what is causing the unrest and the planet to warm. I mean, I'm here in Toronto. We have a heat dome over our city or our province right now. And I think the temperature with the humidity is about 40 degrees Celsius, which is well over 100 US in Fahrenheit. That became a concern for me. I wanted to be able to leave my children, a healthy planet, someplace where they can thrive and grow, and not have to worry about all the sickness and problems that we're having in the world today. So that got me on that journey. I became very environmentally friendly. I do recycle, reuse. I try and support companies that are sustainable. I try and purchase my products from companies that also care about the planet as well. I met the lady that owns the school in Nairobi on a networking group one day, and we had a great conversation. And I've been to Nairobi. I've been on a safari in Kenya, so I had some tie to it. And it's a very small school, and I give her what I can when I can. And I'm on the board, and it's one small school, but I think if we all, I mean, I truly believe that the only way we're going to save our planet is by educating our children. And so I'm helping a small group of people and children in Nairobi, hopefully, to get a good education.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more, maybe the top three things that are on your mind right now with regards to the environment. So I want to bring awareness to the collective.
Well, I think we need to put a price on carbon. That's an issue that, a lot of countries are dealing with. Most G8 countries do have a price on carbon, Canada included. Need to make people aware of the cost of carbon. If we put an actual cost on it, because burning carbon causes health issues, causes weather issues, is causing extreme weather issues. And so if we, say, okay, you want to burn carbon, you want to drive a big, giant car, this is the cost it's going to cost you, because this is what it's costing our planet.
Okay. And then what else? Another two.
Another two, keeping the oceans clean, being very careful about recycling. We should stop using plastic. We should
Yes.
definitely try to cut down on our use of plastic. Although they say, yeah, plastic water bottle is recyclable, only 11% are actually recycled. The rest of them go into landfill. There's an island floating in the middle of the Pacific that's all plastic. So we need to cut down our use of plastic. We need to cut down our use of non-recyclable packaging. And what's number three? Let me think of number three. Um, our health, because as the planet warms, people are sick. People are getting sicker. There's diseases coming up from, areas of the planet that have never been here, like dengue fever and malaria and stuff that's moving into areas of the country, of the planet that they've never seen it before.
Right. Yeah, I do agree about the plastics. There's so many different kinds of plastics, like plastic bottle, plastic containers. When you go out and get food, right? Like from the
Hmm.
restaurants, like to go, it's all in plastic. So
I know, I
I
know.
don't know. What is the alternative to plastics? Do you know what I mean? What's a healthy alternative to plastics?
A lot of takeout containers are now in paper. It's like a corrugated paper. Take your own containers. I mean, you can do that. I mean, when I go shopping, for example, I have reusable cloth bags that I put my produce in. So I
Oh,
don't use the plastic bag that the
yeah,
that
that's
the
what I do
grocery
too.
store.
Yeah.
Bring your own shopping bags. Like, we don't need to use plastic shopping bags. Those are one of the worst for collections, because there's so many of them. And what's the harm in throwing a cloth bag into your car before you go shopping? I have a whole collection. I probably have more cloth bags in the back of my car than I have anything else.
Yes, I agree. I am big on the recyclable bags to the grocery stores, and I'm glad because I am in Virginia, and I guess the governor signed a law, and it says you won't be charged for plastic bags if you bring your own recyclable bags, but if you need a plastic bag, you'll be charged like
Yeah.
extra.
Hmm.
So I think that's a good starting point.
It is. It is a
Yeah.
very good starting point. Just, and it's just helping to make people aware. I mean, yes, you can pay 5 cents or 10 cents for a plastic bag, but it makes people think, well, I can use a reusable bag and I don't need to use a plastic bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And bottled water, but don't get me started on bottled water.
Yeah, I know. Actually, well, bottled water is not really healthy if you think about it. Like,
No.
who knows how long the water has been in that bottle? And plastics has a lot of chemicals, so it's
Hmm.
mixing
Hmm.
with the water, and then you're drinking it,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And it's not as regulated. They'll say it's spring water, but how often do they test it? I mean, I know my city water is tested probably at least 10 times a day. So I know it's clean. I mean, it needs to be filtered, because I think we put too much chlorine. A lot of the city water, they put chlorine in it, but get a filter that filters out the chlorine. Get a Brita or whatever, whatever you can use to filter your water. I mean, some plastic water bottle companies, I mean, all they're using all it is filtered water.
mm,
You're paying a fortune for a plastic bottle of water that you could, filter yourself for,
a
pennies.
fraction of the price. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Let me shift now to your business. So let's talk about the first business that you started, and then we'll transition into your current business.
Okay, good. Well, when my son was 6 months old, I started a travel agency. I had always wanted to travel. And I remember a friend of mine, we're sitting there one day and she says, like, go into the travel business. It's like, yeah, I should. So I did. I spent about 5 years working for a company and then started my own company because I realized that I wasn't good corporate material. I don't take direction easy. I'm very headstrong and always think I know better. So I started my own company. And I did because I ran the business very successfully for 25 years. And in doing so, have been very fortunate to see so many parts of the world. I was so fortunate to be able to take my kids to, very many places in the world. And for that, I'm very grateful. But I remarried, and my husband, he worked for the Toronto Fire Department, and they work 24-hour shifts. So they work 7 days a month. That's a good job to have,
Wow.
7 days a month. And I was lucky to have 7 days a month off. So it was decided that I would sell my business, and I was ready to at that point too. I mean, working in that kind of environment, working in that busy office all those time, I really didn't have a lot of free time. So it's like, okay, maybe this is my time. So I sold the business, but I was looking for something else to do. I still wanted to be able to have money in my pocket. And that's another thing too. Women should always be financially independent. Oftentimes when people marry, it's often the man that makes the bulk of the income because the women are the nurturers, they're the ones that are raising families. And when you get into a position like I did where your marriage falls apart, if you are financially set, it's a lot easier to make that move as well.
Mhm.
So I wanted to continue to be able to make my own money. And I got into an e-commerce health and wellness business that I absolutely love. So it's allowed me to have a lot of freedom because I work from home. Everything that's purchased through my website, I get compensated for. And there's a lot of residual income, there's passive income. And of course, it's all health and wellness. So I know it's helped my health, and I help a lot of people get healthier too.
Okay. So, with you being such a successful woman entrepreneur, what advice would you give to your fellow women entrepreneurs, or maybe somebody who's wanting to embark on that journey? What top three tips would you give us for
Top three tips.
to get,
Um,
for a successful business?
Find something that you love. I used to always say to my kids, go to school and get a job, do something that you truly love, because then it's never a job. So find something that you're really passionate about. I mean, for me, it was my health and wellness journey, but something that you're passionate about. So when you start that business, that passion goes with you. And that desire and that growth can happen because you're doing something you absolutely love. I'm trying to think of now, 2 and 3. I guess have some financial stability behind you, whether you have to get a line of credit or whether you have money saved up, because you do have to invest money into your business. And be prepared for people saying it's not going to work. Be prepared for people to say, you can go back to your old job. You don't have to do this, and tell yourself that, no, this is something that is important to me and I want to make it on my own. Just like Mary Tyler Moore used to say.
So, how can people connect with you then if they want to work with you or get in touch with you?
Sure, yes. My email address is easy. It's my name. So it's Sonia Kurmey at gmail.com. Easy. My phone number is, and you're welcome to call me. I love chatting with people.
Wow.
Area code 416-587-0753. And my business, which it's a business with a company called Arbonne, which is a online health and wellness company. My website is my name, soniakurmey.arbonne.com. And you can go on that line, you can shop there, and you can find out more information. You can actually contact me through that website as well.
Nice. So we have a few minutes left, and I have a signature closing question here that I ask
Okay.
all my guests.
All
So
right.
this is the question. What is your closing message for humanity to help in our collective healing and empowerment?
Oh, I think I've always said one of my mottos is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Because if you treat somebody meanly, it will come back at you. If you treat somebody with love and kindness, that's what you will reap out of that.
Yeah, I agree. The law of attraction, right? What you put out, it comes back.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So always choose love and kindness because that's going to come back to you. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Sonia,
Thank
for
you.
being here
Thank you,
today.
Priscilla.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation. You have such a vibrant energy. I like your energy.
Thank you. I've been told that I know I have positive energy, and it's probably what has sustained me for most of my life. It's easier to think positive because the positive will always get you through the negative.
Yes. Being grateful for one thing in your life every day. If you add
Yes.
that up, 365 days, you have 365 things that you're grateful for in a year.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of things.
Exactly. And if you wake up first thing in the morning and first thing comes that you think of is what you're grateful for, and it could be the sunshine, it could be the birds singing, it could be the fact that you've got a cup of coffee waiting for you downstairs, it could be something great is going to happen. Yeah. So gratitude, definitely.
Yeah, I know. I try and practice that. When I wake up in the morning, I just say, thank you for me being alive, right? Taking my next breath,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Sonia, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being
Thank you. I
here.
really appreciate this.
Yes. And for everybody who's watching and listening, thank you for your time. And until next time, bye for now.